Hello, hello, magical women. I'm here with the beautiful Danielle Dawson, and we're just talking about all the love things, right? It's Love Month, and we've just had Valentine's Day. And Danielle is, I'm super excited to introduce you to Danielle because Danielle did my Call In the One program a little while ago. Gee, I can't remember when it was now. And so for those that are new to this group or don't know who I am, my name is Elizabeth Eleanor. I'm the founder of Magical Women and this container here. And I met my beautiful divine partner at the beach in a beautiful fairy tale encounter, and it was just amazing. And so through that process, because so many women I know were, how did you meet him? How did you have that moment, right? I decided that that's what I was going to focus on, was to support other women to have their moments without having to deal with rejection on dating apps and all of the crap that we go through, but to actually energetically align with the codes of creation so that you can attract your divine partner, right? And so my whole thing is, I've done it. Now let's see if I can teach others. And Danielle was actually the very first woman that had the same experience because she came into the container of Calling in the One, and she's got a story to tell. It's so awesome. So Danielle, welcome to our Facebook group. I know you hang here a little bit and you do some posts on here as well, which is beautiful. So tell us a little bit about your story and what happened meeting this guy.
Oh, well, my story, I guess, is that I've been looking for, a deeper connection, relationship, love my whole life, really. And
Haven't we
yeah,
all?
oh, yes.
The fairy
um,
tale moment that we were brought up with, Cinderella and Prince Charming and all the things. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so, there's been times in the past where you think, this is it, this is it. But, when you start to go through a few of the frogs and you start to realize who actually might be a good fit for you, and you realize what it is that you actually want in a relationship, and sometimes that's by knowing what you don't want as well. So
Mm.
but yeah, I was married for 10 years. I got divorced a couple of years ago and started dating via dating apps, which was very against, because I didn't want to be in that kind of field, really, I suppose. So
It's yucky in there, hey.
yeah, yeah, it did feel that. But I'm with my work as well and being a coach, I knew I had to step out and put myself out there too. Like I can't. I had to put myself on dating apps because that's how people do meet each other these days. So yeah, so I chose carefully which dating app that I wanted to go on, and something that felt comfortable for me. And so I did. I went on a dating app, and you know, I went on dates, and there's some really lovely guys out there, but I started to realize what was and wasn't for me, and started to see where they were at in their lives, and I thought, no, this is not what I want. Or it was really nice because I'd never really dated before. I'd always been that person who got into a relationship quite quickly and never really got to explore the different types of men, I guess, that were out there, or different the way that men would show up in relationships. And so that was that. And I was dating on the app, and like I said, I met some lovely guys, but just not for me. And I started to date someone for a little bit, and just, he was a lovely guy, but just, you know, again, something wasn't quite right, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it.
So
And
this is the guy when you first came into Calling in the One, and we started, you were sort of hanging with that guy. Is that the one?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
I remember. Yeah.
You know, he had some lovely traits, you know, really present, really listened, really beautiful traits. And, you know, those were the things that, without realizing, I was putting things into a basket, I guess, of things that I wanted in a man. And, you know, there was men that I dated that were English, there was men that I dated that were dancers, all these different things. And so what I liked and what I didn't like kind of became in this big bucket. Anyway, so the guy that I met when I came into Calling in the One, you know, I thought he might have, you know, at the time, he was a good guy and he might have kind of stepped up and changed. But through Calling in the One, I cannot put my finger exactly on what happened, but something, you know, you go through the things that you go through when we're in that course, and you help us move things and shift things that are energetically blocking us. And so you know, I guess part of that was this realization that, you know, there's a lot of kind of anger that started to build up inside me afterwards, and a realization of what I was allowing in my life, what I was not allowing myself to have, really. And I was quite angry at myself because I saw that I was settling, and it just kind of got to this point where I was just like, no more, absolutely no more. And it was like a door. You know how they say one door closes, another one opens? It was literally a shift, but it's an embodied shift of the door closing. And as that door closed and I said no to that, I was literally at this point where I was like, no more. I've had enough. I'm just going to focus on me, my work, my business. That's it. And when that happened, I think this was around, I think we must have done that course October time, November maybe, September, October, November. It was over a few months, weren't it?
Yeah, I think it was.
And yeah, so the door kind of got shut, and I was like, I'm focusing on my work, and I started investing more money and time into that. And on New Year's Day, on the dating app, I got a message of this guy, and you know, I saw what his occupation was, and it was, because, you know, you scroll through and you look at the job and you're like, no, or you look at the photos and you're just like, no, no. And, you know, I wouldn't even reply because it's just time wasting everyone's time.
Yeah.
But his job was, he was a psychologist and a researcher, I think a lecturer. And I was like, oh, he might be somebody who actually gets me and might understand, you know, the level of work that, you know, we women put in to have emotionally mature relationships. And anyway, I messaged him back and I said I was just about to finish with this app because it expired in March, and I thought, I'm not renewing it. And he said, well, I hope I'm not too late. And then from there, we just started talking, and every single day we talk on the phone. He lives in a different state, so we talk on the phone, we talk on FaceTime, you know, when it, you know, 3-4 hours a day sometimes. We never run out of things to be talking about, and it's good fun, and we have a good time and we laugh, and the energy is just very magnetic. And yeah, there's lots of, you know, it's interesting because when I look back at my dating journey, like I dated English guys, Australian guys, and there was, on the journey, when I dated English guys, there was always this sense of humor, and we would, you know, have a bit more laugh, and it's a cultural thing, you know, you grow up with what you know. And so without really knowing, it almost kind of went into my this is what I want box. And there was a guy that I dated that was a dancer, and in the past I might have judged that, oh God, I wouldn't date a dancer, maybe he's a bit too feminine or something. But actually in going through that, like actually learned actually with very, very masculine men who were strong and who could lead women and really beautiful. And so I actually had a tick against that as well. And so when I met the guy that I'm with now, you know, like, and I always thought I'd love to be with someone who's like a psychologist or who's smart and intellectual. And so I know he ticked that box as well. So he was English, psychologist, dancer. He was a dancer when he was younger, and
Oh,
all these
wow.
ticks that have kind of gone in the box. And but not just those things, just the way that he shows up as well is very, very settling for me.
You've been, yeah, you've been sharing with me about the process, and you can just feel that connection, you know, like, and this is the part that I really love about these moments when you're really, you know, drawn to someone. There's like these elements, like, you know, Tim and I, the only two on the beach. You know, I just happened to go to the beach after being online for 12 hours or something. It was something crazy. Just had this moment of, I think I'll go down the beach before I make dinner. And, you know, and he walked past, and here you were, you know, close that door in your mind, made that distinction, you know, and then here you were, you know, I'm focusing here. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to close that app. And on New Year's Day, you know, like those magic moments, you know, New Year's Day, here he was reaching out. And so let's back up a little bit, because one of the things that I know, you know, when you were doing Call In the One, and, you know, you were seeing that other guy that, you know, one of the things that I remember is that what we needed to work with in that process, in the course, was what is it that you really want, and actually being okay with making that decision, right? Because he was sort of jumping in. I remember saying to you at one stage, he wants his cake and eats it too, but what you want is not part of the equation. And so, you know, having to make that decision, right, to say no, this is what I want, and sorry, it's not happening. So, you know, can you just share a little bit about that? Because he was saying he didn't want a relationship, right? But then was having a relationship with you.
Yeah, yeah. Couldn't really define what a relationship was really, because it was like you said, it was every interaction we have is a relationship. But he was adamant that he didn't want a relationship, which was interesting because it was very confusing. Because at the beginning, when we first started dating, I was like, you know, what is your intention? Like, what do you want, like, from this? Like, are you just looking for a bit of fun, like, you know, a relationship, or? And it was a relationship. And then down the line, something changed. And yeah, he didn't want a relationship. So it was kind of like you said, kind of getting cake and eating it. But, you know, for me, I guess what kind of happened was he kind of was coming in and out. And I think I was in this place of, oh, hopefully, you know, he might change. Something might change in him, and he might realize that, you know, this is what he wants. You know, I've done that in my marriage as well. To be fair,
Well, that's what us women do, right? We've got this thing of, one, we settle because we start thinking, well, maybe this is as good as it's going to get. And it's not that bad, right? Like, so we start making excuses of why, or, you know, maybe he'll change, you know, like these are the things that we start saying to ourselves of, you know, maybe he is the one and it's going to make something's going to change, you know, so we just hang in there, not realizing how connected it is to our own self-worth. and that actually when we really make that decision, this is who I'm choosing to be, this is what I want, and making that decision and defining that decision, that makes a huge difference to our manifestation, to our creation. We then can, the universe is going, oh, okay, she's fine-tuning now, where this is what's really, this is the frequency that she wants, so and what did you have to get over? Because one of the things with this new guy, right, is that you're in different states. So, there's all of those things of being concerned about, is this right or is this not? And, how did you let go of that? What are the things that you've been going through even in this process?
Yeah, like even at the beginning, I'd asked him, I called it out straight away. I just said, like, well, you live there and I live here. Like, I don't think it's going to work. I'm quickly just trying to shut them off. I got to that point where I was just like, well, just try and close it. Just get them out quick. If they're not into it, if they're not going to show up. And it wasn't a conscious thinking behind it either. It was just more a state of me going, just being real. Like, I can see he lives there, I live here. Yes or no? And he was like, hang on. He's like, I'm willing to make the time and the effort to come and see you. And, let's just, and he talks quite, I've gone through my own awakening journey, if you like, but, he, as a psychologist as well, he uses similar words to what I'm used to using. And he would just say, just have faith, just trust in the process. And I'd be like, okay. And so it just kind of brought me back to the present moment. And so what I had to, honestly though, I had to let go of thinking so much into the future and the fear of this is not going to work, because that's just a story that I was telling myself, and we can go into the as many stories as we want. And so I was going into the story of trying to find reasons why it wouldn't work. And, and what I did do instead was I asked the question. I said, well, or I just made a statement of, well, you live in Queensland, so, maybe it won't work, or what are your thoughts around how that might work out, or whatever. So rather than going into the story and telling myself a story and not questioning it, having a dialogue with him around what that might look like in a healthy way. So, like he flies to see me, and I'm flying up there on the weekend.
You fly to see him?
Yes. And,
Yeah.
plans beautiful dates, and he works a lot, and he's got children, and he has 50% care of his kids, and he's not just got one job, he's got more. He's got like 3 jobs. And in the past, women always come, it's like, or you see women dating and it's like their partner doesn't have time for them, they can't fit them in. Actually, what a crock of lies. Like, it's the truth is, if he's really genuinely into you and he sees in you, if he'll show up, he'll make the effort, he'll call you, he'll fit you in his day. Like, he tells me what is going on for his day, and he'll call me around this time. It really settles me, and I have quite an anxious attachment style typically, so if I don't know what's happening, it can disrupt my day in a way. So he does that without me even asking for those things. And
that's one of the things that I find, is that, as we were talking before we started, like, this is the one for right now, right? Like going into the future and bringing in all of the things, because really what that is our identity that's so concerned about, because we, feel unworthy or whatever, trying to justify that this is not going to work. But when you go back into that higher part of yourself, when you let go, when you allow yourself to be in the unknown and be in the vulnerability, then that, I've got to tell you, men show the one that's, right now shows up, because Tim did exactly the same thing. He showed up, he was consistent, he wanted me, even when I was like, I'm not sure about this, the layers of moving into the vulnerability, as he was saying, like speaking your truth and being able to share the things that were coming up and having them hold space for that, right? That's when you know that there's something here,
Yeah.
So that's really beautiful. So good. So exciting for you. So tell us a little bit, like you were saying, there's this connection with the sort of work that you do, and so the language is the same, because you're an empath coach, right? Tell us a little bit about, because empaths, that's one of the challenges, is feeling so much, so tell us a little bit about the sort of work that you do, hon.
Yeah, so a lot of it is really just, it's to do with, it's really energetic works, a lot of it, because as empaths we do kind of go around absorbing the feelings and emotions of others, and we can really, as a result of that, in terms of my own journey and my clients' journeys, is that we've not really grown up understanding what our feelings are. So it's quite confusing, because you walk around the world feeling other people's feelings, and as an empath, for me, going back to then, I could name some feelings, like I could sadness was probably the main one, and pain, but really just most of the time I think I was in those states of sadness and of pain, and just absorbing that, like being, and people were kind of, the way that I reflect on it is that those were the people that were kind of in my life, like where there was a sad story or there was pain, like it was, conversations were always around a lot of that stuff.
Trauma.
But the thing is that within that, I didn't have an inner sense of who I was, like having a sense of my own feelings. And it's interesting, because I'm going, if you've got an empath now who's at the beginning of their journey and realizing this, like they might tell themselves, oh, I know what my feelings are. I know, because that's what I told myself. But actually, until you go in and you say, yes, I want to heal, there's something that's missing inside, there's something missing. And when you're ready, we go in and we start to heal this inner state. It's an energetic shift, really. So we've been, from a psychological perspective, we've been in this fight or flight response, which we've been running on adrenaline most of our lives. And so we don't know any different, because we've just, from being a child, we've stayed in this state. And we don't know why empaths are, how they're created or why, but they're born with a more sensitive nervous system. They have, from a psychological perspective, again, we have more mirror neurons in the brain. So we're very good at mirroring people and copying their emotional state. And so actually what we have to learn to do is take a step back from that. And when we take the step back from that, we step back in our body, we step back into the regulated state, I guess. And our skills as are the things that we have been in as an empath become a superpower, because we
Yeah.
learn to shift back from being in that state all the time. We learn what it is to be in a regulated nervous system, and we can make these energetic shifts to meet people where we need to meet them. But there's lots of superpowers that empaths are unaware of that are there. And empaths are a small percentage of the population. I shared this on one of my posts the other day, but it doesn't mean that everybody can do this work, because everybody can do it. It's just that as an
Well, we're energetic beings, aren't we? So yeah.
And I think just as an empath, because you've grown up in that more sensitive state your whole life, so you are more empathetic naturally. But actually, again, empathetic is, as you learn to be a skilled empath, you actually learn what it truly is to be empathetic.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, love
So,
that.
yeah, does that kind of...
So yeah, no, totally. And we'll put your details and your Facebook group into the chat so that people can go and check out what you do and join your group. So Danielle, just a last question. If I am going to be running Calling in the One again in March, and for those that might be interested in, finding their divine partner, having that opportunity to clear the stuff that's getting in the way, what would you say if someone that's been through the course, got the results, like living in that beautiful love bubble thing, for someone that might be interested in the course, what would you share with them?
I would just say, how long have you been waiting? How long have you wanted to be loved the way that you love?
Mm.
Because when you're a giver, often we've attracted the opposite. We've attracted the people that take, and actually you can attract a giver. So,
Yes.
givers together is where, that is really where the magnetism kind of comes together, and the deep love and the understanding and the vulnerability and the care and all of the things that that you want, and it is possible to have. And there are men out there who are like that, but it's just sometimes we've got to make those energetic shifts so that we can not attract, so that we can attract something else, so that we can attract the
Yes.
giver.
Yes.
And so I would just say, Elizabeth's got the tools, she's got the resources, and she knows the journey. She's done it herself. She's met the love of her life, and I've met a wonderful man. It's still very early, but I have a very good feeling about all of it. And yeah, I would just say, you've got your one life, and when do you want to start living it? Really?
Yeah, so true. Hey, yeah, absolutely. We put up with so many things because we think that again, it's this settling, right? That this is all we deserve. But
Yeah.
there are beautiful, good men out there. We're living proof. I was 50 when I met Tim, so age doesn't need to come into it either. And distance, your proof there as well. So yeah, it's a beautiful experience. So thank you so much, Danielle, for coming in and sharing your story, and we look forward to seeing how the journey unfolds.
Thank you. Thank you.
And ladies, we will be putting some details about Calling in the One in as soon as I think we'll start in March or something. to share a little bit more about that. But one of the things that we are doing at the moment is just a little bit to start with, like a 5-day, what I call an alignment retreat. It's called Boundaries of Love, and that's actually starting on Monday, and it's 5 days of let's just get into the space of discovering what your boundaries are before we even look at what, calling in a divine partner or someone that, that you really want to connect with on that deeper level, because you've got to let go of all those old limitations and understand where you're at, like you've got to understand what healthy boundaries are and how to be able to express them. So if you're interested in Boundaries of Love, we'll put the link in there as well. It's a no-brainer, $27, for the 5 days. There's an upgrade if you want the recording, all the stuff afterwards. But yeah, take care. Thank you so much, Danielle, and we'll catch everyone soon. Stay magical.
Mhm.